Donald Trump and Republicans promised, their core promise last year was to lower the high cost of living on day one. That's what Republicans said. That's what they communicated to the American people. And we know that Republicans lied, stone cold liars to the American people when they promised to focus on addressing the high cost of living. Costs are not going down in America, they are going up. Housing costs are up, grocery costs are up, electricity prices are through the roof, child care costs are up, and now because of Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, we know that premiums, copays, and deductibles for the overwhelming majority of Americans, including but not limited to more than 20 million Americans who receive their Affordable Care Act tax credits, are about to explode. Republicans have done this, and they now refuse to even sit down and address the health care crisis that they have visited on the American people.
The Democrats have some soul searching to do. Are they going to continue to do that? Are they going to run from the far left and do their bidding? Or are they going to do right by millions of federal workers and the American people who continue to show up to work daily without pay? Are they going to do right and reopen the government so that those people are taken care of instead of the Marxist far left base in their party? That is the question. And we pray that Senate Democrats come to their senses before the situation becomes too dire.
Joining us now is RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair CJ Pearson. CJ, sorry to put you through that, but listening to Joy Reid there, you can understand why MSNBC got rid of her. But Nicole Wallace and JB Pritzker, I mean, who are they convincing?
You know, absolutely no one with a single bit of common sense. But I will tell you, you know, every time I hear this media meltdown, I'm going to start sending you my therapy bill because it's gotten to that point. These people are delusional, and maybe we need to do group therapy so they can get the help that they deserve and that they need. But no, here's the deal. You know, for the last several years, we've listened to these people call President Trump Hitler. We've listened to them call him a Nazi, and also not just him, but his supporters as well. And I got to tell you, these aren't just petty partisan political insults to me. These are clear incitements of violence. These people know what they're doing. They know what their rhetoric is causing, and we should condemn them for it. We should be clear-eyed about it. And that's why I think that, you know, here's the deal. These people, even after the death of Charlie Kirk, have shown that they are not willing to change the way in which they speak about these issues. They want to say Republicans lower the temperature. When will they?
Yeah, 100%. And they just keep gaslighting, and it's so dangerous. We can laugh at it, but as you say, it's a call for violence. And it's been awful to see what's happened this year, the rise of extreme left-wing violence. Now, Senate Democrats voted for the 13th time to block a House-passed bill to reopen the federal government, despite a plea this week by the nation's largest federal workers' union to end the 28-day shutdown. It's interesting, CJ, CNN is reporting that Republicans have actually improved their polling numbers during the shutdown, while Democrats are in the worst position they've been in 20 years.
Starting with Republicans, how has the shutdown seemed to have affected their political standing?
Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. Among when we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
CJ, what do you make of that?
Well, I make of it that the American people are a lot smarter than the Democrats would like to believe that they are. The American people know this is a Chuck Schumer shutdown. It is because of a few rogue Democrat members in the United States Senate who are refusing to reopen the government, refusing to do what needs to be done to pay our troops, to ensure that SNAP benefits don't, become in jeopardy and all of those things. And this problem lays squarely at their feet. President Trump has done what he had to do. Republicans in Congress have done what they have to do to reopen this government. Democrats have to meet us in the middle. They've shown a refusal to do so because Chuck Schumer and folks like him are just far too scared of AOC to actually be a leader. And it's a shame, and it's terrible that they're jeopardizing our country and its well-being in pursuit of their partisan and political goals.
Polling expert Harry Enton had more bad news for their lefty losing it audience.
You might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at.
Yes, Republicans and independents are not blaming the Republicans for Schumer's shutdown. That's good news for the midterms for some.
It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents, it's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right?
Yes, the math is mathing, but what is the shutdown doing to the Democrats' chances at the midterms?
So how are they positioned right now?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, the generic congressional ballot, which traditionally Democrats have done really well on, and if you look at this point back when Trump was president the first time around, Democrats are up 11 points. Look at where it is now. Democrats are ahead, but they're actually only up 3 points. This is, in fact, the worst position Democrats have been on in a generic ballot at this point in midterm when there was a Republican president in the last 20 years. And this is no different from pre-shutdown. So Republicans aren't losing on this metric either. They become more popular, and they're actually in a pretty good position for them historically when it comes to the generic congressional ballot.
This is a concerning number for Democrats, are you saying?
This is a concerning number for Democrats because it's considerably worse than they traditionally do in midterm elections when there's a Republican president.
Harry Enton.
Oh dear. Let's bring in documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, the shutdown isn't hurting Trump, not with the base, and just as importantly, it's not hurting him with independents.
No, it's not. In fact, the Democratic brand is so low that they're actually bucking history. Historically, the government in charge is always blamed for the shutdown, but that's not the case here. This is, I mean, what do you want? The Democrats have voted 13 times to keep the government shut down. And frankly, look, you listen to Chuck Schumer and what he's saying when he's decrying the shutdown. What does he point to as a problem? He points to Trump helping out Milei in Argentina. Really, that's a problem? Milei is reshaping the Argentinian economy into a free market economy for the first time as a light to the entire region that they will follow. That's a problem? He talked about Trump dancing in Malaysia. Yeah, he was in Malaysia cutting deals left and right. He was in Asia brokering a peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia that is 100 years old. That's an older conflict than Israel and the Palestinians. Yeah, that's what he's doing, and that's what the Democrats are decrying as a problem with this shutdown. And by the way, the coalition of the Democratic Party, which has been strong so far, is now fraying. There's a federal union that is now telling the Democrats, you guys better stop this soon. This is being a problem for us. And at the end of the next week, 41 million people will stop receiving food SNAP benefits, which is food stamp benefits. By the way, 41 million people on food stamps, that in of itself is a massive problem. That's where we stand right now, Rita.